making a change today. The liquor been taking the pain away. I heard you was giving your chain away. That's kinda like giving your fame away. What's wrong with you? I sit in a box where the owners do. A post is a road that I've grown into. I love you to death, but I told you the truth. I can't just be...
Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, hello, welcome. My name is Megan, and today's video, I'm very excited, is going to be a week of workouts video. These videos used to be my favorite things ever to create. I also really like to consume them and just kind of see what people's routines look like, and you guys ask me all the time to bring them back, so I finally am back. And this year has really been important to me to bring back intentional training into my personal routine. I feel like the past few years I kind of got into a funk with training towards goals or training with intention, and I kind of just was going for fun and kind of trying to just be consistent, not really having many specific goals. But this year I really wanted to focus on like leveling up my strength, really being intentional with increasing weight week to week, being intentional with showing up more in every single month in some way, trying to challenge myself to do something that I've never done. And that has paid off so much. I feel like I am in one of the best phases of my training and of working out since I started, and just overall feeling very, very good. So I'm really excited about this chapter in this year because I think this is going to be the year where I feel and see that breakthrough of my gains and just overall my energy and everything I feel like has been aligning. So I'm very happy to share this routine with you guys. Like I mentioned earlier, this year I'm trying to always integrate these little things to challenge myself because I'm really someone who likes comfort. I really like to stay in a comfortable spot once I'm there, whether it's with exercises or a workout split or the weights I'm using. Like I'll always find a way to stay comfortable. So every single month I've been giving myself like some random challenge, whether that's like waking up earlier or going to Solidcore. But this month's was to train 5 days a week at the gym, which was something that I honestly have never done consistently in like a workout split. I always thought it was a bit unattainable, but I obviously made it happen and it was really nice. It really worked out for me because I wasn't in a period of a lot of travel or anything. I was staying put and it felt like the right time to try it out and just see how I liked it. So this is the split that you guys are seeing now. I'm no longer following this because I am traveling a lot more lately, so I'm back to my 4 days. But I did do a 4-week, 5-day split, which was awesome. And not only did I do 5 days in the gym, but I also did a Solidcore day as well. So let me give you guys the breakdown of my training. When I was training in college, I feel like I had a really rigid schedule. So I would like always do legs on this day, always do upper on this day. Now I have a lot more flexible of a schedule just because of how my schedule is constantly changing, either with travel, with working, with Solidcore as well, just like with soreness and stuff. So I've kind of been switching it up and going on the days that feel right for me and my schedule. And so that's something new for me. And so that was something that I really had to implement here with the 5-day split because it was hard to know which day to do based on soreness. So I did a push day, a pull day, a full body day, and 2 lower body days, one being quad and hamstring focus, one being glute and hamstring focus. And this worked out really well. I honestly have been really good about doing my normal push-pull leg day split. So those days kind of stayed very similar. Maybe I just tweaked and added some things. But then for the full body day, it was all the exercises that I felt really deserved a place in my routine but didn't have one. So it was a really random mumble jumble. And I do mention in that section of the video that that is very catered towards me and my routine. So this routine is really to share with you guys like what I am doing. It's not necessarily for you to run with, copy paste, and do yourself with the full body day. The other days I feel like are pretty chill. You guys can copy them, but the full body day you might find to be really random because it's just some exercises you guys might find to be very boring, but they just were things that I needed to pop in my week of training. And something that I feel like is really important to say always in these kinds of videos is just that what works for me and is ideal for me in this phase of my life might not be the best fit for you. That is why programs are personalized. That's why they're tailored. And that's why you will see the best results making sure that you're following something that properly reflects your goals, your activity level, your lifestyle, and your level of training as well. If you guys are looking for something made for you, I do personalized programs as an offering for my coaching. And essentially what that is you guys will input your key goals, things that you want to grow, how long of a workout program you want to do. If you guys have a home gym setup, if you have a gym setup, if you have a hybrid thing and you want me to build for that, I do that. And the reason that I offer that is because I feel very strongly about this in the sense that it has to fit right in your life in order for it to be something that you can sustain. And I think especially with training, making sure that someone makes you a program really taking into account you is so incredibly important, because I think that yes, you can always reach your goals following things and taking inspo, but you can reach them a lot faster if you have something that is actually made for you and fits your life. But without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get into this week of workouts. Hello guys, I'm going to be taking you guys along with me for my pull day. I actually really enjoy training back. I love doing back and biceps, and I finally feel like my back is growing and showing some gains, which I really appreciate because I've been barbell bent over rowing for months now. And I hate it, but I'd like my back to look amazing in the summer. So I'm really happy that everything's kind of going in the right track. And I was bicep curling 10s in front of my boyfriend, and he was literally like, go get 15s. And I was like, I have never bicep curled 15s in my life. And he was like, go get them. I bet you can. And I now have been bicep curling 15 since, because he was right. I definitely can. If you guys see me curling 15s, hype me up. Hype me up in the comments, please. We are going to have sexy backs for the summer, my ladies. To start off, we are going into these pendlay barbell bent over rows. You guys do not have to do this variation, and I would not recommend this variation for anybody that is more beginner to barbell rows. I personally did barbell rows for a while before I got into doing these. The main difference is just that you are going to fully reset the bar down before each rep, but the keynotes with barbell bent over rows are just thinking overhand grip and then driving your elbows up and back towards the ceiling. Now we are moving into our close grip seated cable row. If your machine is like mine, there will be a place for your feet to go up, and then you want to use the triangular row attachment. This allows you to do close grip. There are other grip options that would allow you to do wider grip as well. In terms of form, you want to think about rowing in the same path as the cable, so just bringing it straight in towards your belly button, and then I like to think about driving my elbows back while also keeping them nice and close to the body. At the end range, when your arms are as far back as you can go, really think about squeezing your scaps together as if someone had their finger in the middle of your upper back. And now we're changing grip variations to do a high seated cable row. So your setup's going to be the exact same, except now I'm taking 2 D handles and holding them with an overhand grip. You can also use a wide bar attachment or a rope attachment here. It really just depends what you prefer. I did the D handles because, as you guys can see, I took one out and did a single arm variation straight after. For this high row, I like to think of it as if I was elbowing someone behind me. So with an overhand grip, I am just throwing my elbow back as if I was going to elbow someone in the face and then bringing it back in nice and controlled. Biggest thing with anything as we start to bring our arms up is just also ensuring that we're not shrugging our upper traps. The more you shrug through your upper trap, the more neck tension you may get and the less activation you may feel in your back. Now we're standing and heading to the standing cable column area, where we're going to start with a cable straight arm lat pull down. These take a little bit to master, but once you do, you will really feel these work through your back. I like to pick a straight bar attachment here, and I hold it with an overhand grip, and then I let my arm stretch all the way up towards the top of the cable column, and then push down, really thinking of using my lats and using my back to push that motion down rather than trying to use my arm. To create the proper tension, you want your line of pull to be a bit diagonal, and you're allowing yourself to have that slight forward lean. In doing so, that's going to allow you to pull that attachment down towards your hip. Now we're going to go into some face pulls, so keeping the cable in the same position but just switching the attachment out for the rope. My top tip for how to hold the rope is thinking if you were going to point at yourself with your thumb, how you would do that, and then holding the cable in that way. In terms of the motion, I want you to think about this less as you pulling down and more about your elbows coming out. As the reps accumulate, you should feel this in your rear delts. Now we're moving into a seated machine row, and I like to do these single arm to get a little bit of single arm isolation here. You can't see from this angle, but this machine does have a chest support, and most gyms do have this machine or something like it, whether it's with plate tension or with cable tension. But I'm just doing a neutral grip here, and then similar to those seated cable rows that we were doing earlier, you want to think about driving your elbows back, but powering that movement through your back. With your elbow, think about hitting the person behind you, but with your armpit, Think of if you were squeezing a super small grape trying to crush the juice out of it. As you can see here, my chest does open a little bit and rotate with me a little bit just to really get that end range there. But these are super good and killer after all the things that I was doing prior. So now to finish off, we are going straight into some revolving bicep curls here. I'm doing these with a supinated grip, but when it comes to bicep work, it really is up to you and your preference, and you can do whatever floats your boat. I definitely do a small amount of bicep work per week, so I definitely say if your goal is to strengthen or grow your biceps more, I would recommend adding in 1 to 2 more bicep exercises either on this workout day or on a workout day that you have. But for me and my goals, I'm just not that big into training biceps and I find it really boring, but I have been trying to push myself with those 15s. And the biggest mistake I see with bicep curls is that people don't come back to full extension of the arm on the way down, or they're using their body to just sway the movement entirely. You want to think about the arm from the shoulder down to the elbow being stuck in place, and that's all for this workout. Don't mind us at the gas station right now, but we actually already hit this quad day. This day he and I have actually done together for like the past couple weeks, and it's really good. I usually start with like a really big compound, but we've started this day with a superset, so we'll do walking lunges and then we'll go to a like wall press, basically like a B stance RDL, putting them together, and it just fries your legs entirely before even getting into like pitch shark squat is what we do. But yeah, this is a really good workout day. It's been great for the quad, and it's been different too because I feel like quad day can get repetitive. As if I couldn't make your leg days any worse, I'm telling you guys to start them out with a superset, and not only a superset but one with walking lunges. This has been humbling to say the least, but I feel like it gets your quads firing right off the bat. So what I'm doing here is I just picked a little space in the turf in the gym and I'm just walking down and back. But if you guys want specific reps, you can go for 8 to 10 reps each leg. I'm doing this with the weight on my shoulders here, but when I'm not going to the gym with my boyfriend, I do it with dumbbells just because sometimes getting the weight that I want to use on and off my shoulders is a little difficult. But with these, you just want to think about really powering the motion through the front foot. So trying not to push off with that back toe, but rather push through the heel of the front foot, and you're really going to feel this work through the glutes and the quad. For the second part of this superset, we are doing a wall press B stance RDL. You guys can just do a normal B stance or single leg RDL as well. But the wall press has been really good for me because I feel like I get a lot of glute activation while also getting a lot of stretch on the hamstring. It also helps to make a little challenge of stability between the B stance and with the single leg RDL in a way that is stable enough for me to load it pretty heavily. With RDLs, the most important thing is to think about hinging back at the hips, and being right in front of a wall is perfect because you can literally just cue your hips to go back to touch the wall. So your goal is karate chop at that hip as opposed to just bending down with the upper body. As soon as your hip doesn't have anywhere left to go backwards, that's when the movement stops, and you'll probably see that for you it's right under the knee or mid shin. After that, we are going to go into some pitch shark belt squats here. So my gym has a pitch shark. If yours does not, I would personally substitute this for a heel elevated goblet squat or a heavily dumbbell loaded sumo squat. And the main thing that the pitch shark belt squat does that I like is that I don't have to worry about stability. I have that grip up front, and then I don't have to worry about loading up at the chest or the back because I have the weight actually at the hip. So I just really like that because I can worry less about stability and more about just the leverage and the weight distribution. Here I just have a little wider than shoulder width apart stance, and then I keep my torso a bit more upright so I can bias the quads, and I really think about leg pressing through the floor as I come back up. And speaking of leg press, that is what we're going into next. We are doing a single leg press, and every single gym's leg press is going to look different. This one's a bit different than the one that I use at my personal gym, and this is me literally laughing at my boyfriend. But anyways, for these, all that I'm focusing on is really driving through the heel, but making sure that I keep full tension with the foot. So sometimes I'll see people wiggling their toes or their toes not fully on, or people pushing through the toe and not keeping the heel on. Both of those aren't going to be great for you. You want to make sure that you keep full weight distribution through that foot. And I like to go for 8 to 10 reps on each leg here, focusing on that deep knee flexion and just pressing out. And by this point, your legs should be pretty cooked. That's okay. You can keep the weight a little lighter, but just focus on that full range of motion. And this will just help with any muscular imbalances from right to left. And then after this, to finish off the workout, we are doing a leg extension isodynamic burnout. that is a mouthful, but this is something that my boyfriend actually showed me, and I literally hate him every time that we have to do them together because he really holds me accountable because you want to slack on this. It is so hard. But essentially for this, what you're going to do is you are going to do 5, 10, and 15 reps. And with this, after 5 reps, you're going to hold for 5 seconds. After the 10 reps, you're going to hold for 10 seconds. After the 15 reps, you're going to hold for 15 seconds. And the goal is that you don't take any breaks between. As you will see, I'm fighting for my life. I'm dying. I'm complaining. Every possible thing that I can do to get through this, because by the end of everything that you did, your leg should already be dying after 5 reps. But we must persevere. Keep the weight light on these. They're supposed to be high rep, low weight here. And since some of you guys may be wondering what the significance or benefit from doing this would be, it's because what we're doing here is we have high reps and lower weight. So we're able to work on muscular endurance, so being able to do an exercise for a longer duration of time. We're also implementing those isometric holds, which at the end range, which in a leg extension is going to be the top range of motion, we're going to allow the muscle to fatigue under a hold, and that way we can build strength through the entire range of motion, but specifically that end range. And it's just really stinking hard and a more fun way to do leg extensions. I'm laughing through the pain, but that is it for this quad day slay. Today's workout is going to be a full body day, and this is truly the newest addition to my workout routine, and also kind of the reason that I shifted from a 4-day gym split to a 5-day, just because there are a lot of exercises that I want to do that I just feel don't have a place in my push and pull day, whether they're just like extra exercises from those days or kind of redundant exercises from those days, or it's just going to be too much volume on those days. So I wanted to add an extra day that was like a full body day that kind of encompassed everything that I still wanted to do in this program, but felt that it didn't have a place in the actual push and pull structured days. So this workout day has actually been really fun. It's nice to hit full body sometimes, just because with exercises, sometimes you can get so fatigued in one muscle group, but this is nice because I can go from like deadlift to an upper body exercise to split squats to an upper body exercise. So it's a little bit more free flow and a little bit less stressful to like be putting your body under stress the entire time in the same muscle group. I don't know that this will be a forever in my routine. Like, I'm not sure that I'll always have this day, just because it is hard sometimes to hit that 5 workouts a week for me. But in this training split, it has been really nice and I've really been enjoying it. So let's go in and hit this workout. Just remember, with my split in general, it's very specific to me, but this day especially is very specific to me and just what I have on the other days. So don't feel like, if you're trying to like draw inspiration from this, don't feel like you have to do these exact exercises, but just look at your other 4 days in your split and decide what's missing, what you guys want to be doing, and then add those into this miscellaneous day. To start out this full body day, we are doing conventional deadlifts here. For conventional deadlifts, you want to have about a shoulder width apart stance, and your arms are going to be a little bit wider than that. I am pulling with a double overhand grip, but if it is a heavier weight, you can go one under and one over. With this, I want you guys to think about pressing through the floor as you come up, and the top of this movement is comprised by full hip extension like you would the top of a hip thrust, but making sure that we're just coming up to neutral, so creating that straight line from the side of your body, but not overextending at the top. And then when you're doing your line of pull, what you want to think about is notice how my arm and shoulder is basically stacked over the height of the bar as I pull up, and it's not a squat. I'm not bending through the knee too much. I'm actually just hinging more through the hip. Now we are moving into Bulgarian split squats. Here, essentially, we're going to have our rear foot elevated, and then our front foot is going to be the working leg. So the leg that is fully planted, we are pushing up through, similar to a leg press or a squat. Biggest thing with these is making sure you're keeping equal pressure throughout your entire foot, so your toe shouldn't be coming up as you're coming up, and on the way up you really want to think about pressing specifically through the heel to power through that glute as you are on the way up. Some people like to do these for quads, some people like to do these for glutes, so if you want more glute bias, you're going to have more of a forward torso lean, which is going to allow more stretch on the glute. If you want more of a quad bias, you're going to keep your torso more upright to allow that quad to work a little bit more. So it just depends on your goals there. And then for your rear foot elevation, it doesn't have to be super high like a bench. I like mine a bit shorter, like this machine allows me to do. Now we're moving into some seated dumbbell overhead press. So what you're going to do here is just hold those dumbbells up. I personally like to have my elbows tucked a little bit in, so instead of being like a field goal post with my arms, I bring those field goal ends in just a tad bit to protect the shoulders. And then you can also do these with neutral grip if you really want to protect the shoulders here. I think about punching the sky, so keeping my wrists stacked and my knuckles up. And these are just super tough for me, so I'm still working on building strength, so I don't have a ton of tips there quite yet. But now we're moving into our half kneeling high to low cable row. With this, you want to use a D handle. We're going to be half kneeling, and then I like to make sure that the cable setting is set just a few pegs above the top of my head. Then you want to scooch back a little bit to ensure that the line of pull is at a diagonal, and then we're just thinking of driving that elbow down and back towards the heel of our foot to really start to activate that lat there. And the reason for the half kneel is, one, for added stability. As you guys can see, being in that kneeling position keeps everything in the trunk and below nice and stable, but also because you wouldn't be able to do this with a normal cable extension depending on your height. So it just gives you that opportunity to do that, have stability, and have a good line of pull with that diagonal there. Now we are moving into a superset, so I'm doing a cable rear delt fly as well as a cable lateral raise. These flies were a new addition to my split and honestly a new exercise to me, so I don't want to give you guys too much guidance on it because I am still mastering the form. But regarding the setup, I use my opposite arm to give me a little bit of a lean on that pull, and then using just the pulley and the little carabiner clip on the end, that's what I'm holding to actually pull out. Just make sure when you bring that back in that you don't forget your hand is there, or else you will smush your hand. I've been there from experience. And then you're gonna lower that from shoulder height down to around like knee shin height for the cable lateral raises. And for me, my biggest struggle with cable lateral raises is that it bothers my wrist to hold the D handle. So I found that actually just putting an ankle attachment around my wrist has made this much more comfortable and allowed me to just focus on my delt rather than grip. So that is it for this workout. Hi girls, we are going to be doing a push day slay today, and there were some roadblocks today getting me to this workout. One being a tree in the road, and I went back in my house and I rested a while, and then the tree was gone, so I was like, let me get this workout. I do need to get this workout done pretty quickly because I do have calls I need to go back home for, so hopefully I can film every exercise for you. If I miss anything, I'll just film it on another day and have it in a different outfit just to still include it. But let's go ahead and hit this quick and effective upper body push day. This superset that we're starting the workout with is what I view as prep, so just preparation for the workout, getting some things turned on prior to going into a pressing movement. So we're starting out with a chest supported Y here, thinking of making thumbs up and then driving our thumbs up to the ceiling. Biggest thing is while doing this that we don't shrug through our upper traps, and with these you want to keep that weight super light. We're just starting to prep both the shoulders and the mid trap and low trap. Then we are going to drop that weight standing, and we are going to grab a band, and we're just doing horizontal pull aparts here. With this, I want you guys to think about squeezing your scaps together. This is going to help to open the chest, but also to prep the parascap muscles in your back. And these always get me nice and toasty. And then after I do those pull aparts, then we're going into banded external rotation here bilaterally. So palms are going to face up, and then thinking our thumbs are going to drive out as if we are saying, I don't have any money, or making a W with our arm. I repeat that twice for prep, and then we are going into our flat dumbbell chest press here. This was a really big push movement for me on this training cycle, so I was really trying to increase the weight over time that I was doing, or just get more comfortable with the weight that I was using. For a chest press, you want to make sure you have those 3 points of contact, one being your feet, one being your glutes on the bench, and the last one being your upper back or scaps on the bench as well. Then with these, we're thinking about punching the sky, keeping our knuckle and wrists stacked and upwards. And then for range of motion, you'll notice I get to about the height of the bench with my arms on the way down, and then I immediately start to press up. If you're more beginner to these, then I would recommend starting them on the floor as a floor press, and then when you get comfortable, then going to the bench. Now we're moving into a superset, so we are starting with an upright row here. I like to use this bar grip that has a little bit of a divot just to give my arms a little bit more range. But for these, instead of thinking of just pulling the bar up, again, thinking about those elbows coming out so that we can create a straight line from the shoulder to the elbow at the top of the range. Then we're going to drop that, and we're going to go straight into some front raises on each arm With dumbbells, I like to do a neutral grip here, so thinking of thumbs up and then that thumb going up towards the sky. I do these revolving, one because I like to focus on one arm at a time, but two because you'll be a little bit toasted from the upright row and you want to make sure that you're maximizing your energy and also being able to give 100% into each rep. Sometimes when you do both arms at the same time, you'll notice that you are shrugging or jerking through the movement, so this just helps you to have more stability and control. Now we are back on that bench. We're making it nice and flat and we are doing supine dumbbell chest flies. There are lots of ways that you guys can do flies, so don't feel like you have to do this way. I just find that the fly machine or the cables are always taken, so doing these is just always my first resort because I'm like, I don't want to be bothered waiting. So you guys can do whatever variation you want, but if you are worried about space, time, or you just want something that's a little bit more beginner friendly, I would recommend these. When it comes to flies, you don't want to use a super heavy weight. I'm using 10 pounds here and that feels super heavy for me. You can kick up reps, but in this position, especially if you're using a bench instead of the floor, you do want to be mindful of that really bottom range of motion and making sure that the weight's not too much to where you could fail and drop the weight down there. Think about giving someone a really big bear hug if they're on top of you and how you would do that. Your arms would come all the way down, feel that stretch with gravity and the dumbbell, and then we would resist that gravity on the way up to finish that hug. Now we're over at the cable column and we have the rope attachment on, and then we have the pulley at about hip or glute height. Here what we're doing is an overhead tricep extension with the cable. So what you guys want to think about here is almost like a soccer throw-in, the form you would do for that, except the one thing you want to ensure is that from your elbow down, it's going to stay static and we're just coming into extension of that elbow at the top range of motion here. This is one I like to do higher reps so that I can really feel it fatigue because I cannot do very heavy weight. And then we're finishing on the seated tricep press down machine here. You can also substitute this for body weight dips if you prefer, but I like this press down machine better. So you're going to have your arms behind you and then you're going to think about pressing down into that bar, and what it's going to do is force full extension of the elbow, which then is going to create that tension in the tricep. And that is going to conclude our push day sleigh. Hi guys, I'm about to head in and do my glute focused leg day. I've been doing this exact same glute day for a really long time, so I'm just keeping at it, but we're gonna go in and do that. So let's go ahead and go get those glute gains. I start off every glute day with this back extension drop set because I find that it really helps me to activate my glutes and my hamstrings because I'm a very quad dominant girly. And our gym just got this machine, which is so nice. So it gives cable tension and allows you to do back extensions in an easier way, but you also can do the traditional back extensions where you just use that machine and hold a dumbbell out and it will do the exact same thing. So for this, what I like to do is 8 reps with weighted resistance here. Then I drop that weight and I go into 8 reps body weight, and that's really going to start to turn on and fatigue the glutes. And with this machine, I always tell people, think more about thrusting into the pad than pulling up through your heels. So if you feel like you're just getting hamstring and you're not getting a lot of glute, it's probably because you're not squeezing your glutes at the top through pushing through that pad at the top range. Now we're going to go into our big compound lift of the day, which is going to be Smith machine hip thrust. You guys can do hip thrust with the barbell, with a glute drive machine, whatever you prefer, but for me, Smith machine has helped me to really feel my glutes the most, and I have a good setup with it. For your form, your back is going to be on a box or a bench, and it should be right under the scap there. You should have your feet at about shoulder width apart and then your toes slightly externally rotated. Then you're going to think about thrusting up into full hip extension, squeezing a little bit at that top range of motion through the glute, and then coming back down out of that. Then we are going into the greatest superset of all time. I swear by this, and I've been doing this for so long now, but we are going into cable column step downs, which already are one of the most elite things that you can do for your glute because that cable tension, the added stability of holding on, all of it together really helps to feel this in your glute. So with this, I want you guys to think about your hips going back as if you were doing an RDL and thinking about that back toe touching something on the ground behind you. You want to think about your knee staying stacked over your ankle and my knee isn't going over my toe. That's going to help you feel that stretch in the glute, and I'm doing these as a curtsy, but I would recommend you do them as just a normal lunge back until you can master that form. And then you're going to take that attachment off and you're already going to have your ankle attachment on. You're going to hook that in, change the weight to what you need, hold on to the cable machine if you need to, and then we're doing glute medius kickbacks. So what you want to do is think about kicking back and out at a 45-degree angle, or an analogy that really helps people is if you think that you are in a box, you're going to be kicking to the back right corner of that box. So that's where you should angle your foot and plan to push your heel back to. With this, driving it back is important, but the way back into the cable is also important. So try not to make this a super fast and jerky motion. That is a more tedious setup, but I promise it is worth it. And for our last motion here, we are doing a prone hamstring curl. Prone just means facing down. And what this allows you to do is just power this movement through the hamstring because everything else is going to be fixed. So with this, you want to think about bringing your heels towards your butt like you're kicking your feet. And this range of motion is one of the hardest things for me. It's something that I'm very weak at, so it's something I really want to get better at. You may have more strength and be able to do higher reps than I'm doing, but I'm just doing 4 sets of 8 to 10, really focusing again, not only on controlling it up to my butt, but also controlling it the entire journey down, because that eccentric portion is actually what's going to help with both muscle growth and strength. And that is it for my glute day. And like I mentioned earlier, somewhere in the week, I do integrate Solidcore. And Solidcore, essentially, if you're not familiar, is a Pilates reformer class. It's not really slow Pilates. It's more of a fast-paced, high intensity core / full body workout. And it is something that was one of my challenges for myself, which was try to go, even though it's something that's really hard for you. Core has always been something I've neglected and therefore got really weak. So doing classes like that really intimidated me because I just felt really bad at it. And I usually used to run away from things that I felt bad at. I still do. But that has been something that I've actually really grown to love the challenge. And I love having one like guided thing a week for me to do that turns my brain off. I don't have to push myself. They push me. I paid for the class. And I also like having something like that scheduled into my routine because I feel like it's a good way to have that accountability. So I have done so many classes now. I think I've done like 41 or 42 Solidcore classes, which is nuts. And in my routine, I've always strived to go once a week. And that has been really, really helpful for me as somebody who just doesn't really focus on those things like endurance-based exercises, those body weight exercises, the core stability. All of that has been really, really great to emphasize once a week in those classes. So I really enjoy Solidcore. If you guys are planning to try it, I would definitely recommend you do the beginner class. I did the beginner class like 9 times before I went to like a real class because getting the foundations is huge. Otherwise you can obviously hurt yourself. And yeah, so that's been something I enjoy in my routine, and I just poke it in the week depending on where I see fit. I also do sometimes go with my friend. So if I'm going with her, obviously I have to make sure it works into both of our schedules. So that does impact where it slides in during the week. But that has been a game changer for me in terms of core strengthening, core stability, and just having a fun little challenge throughout my week that isn't just weight training. All right, you guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know you guys always really like this style of video, so feel free to comment down below if you want more of these. I'll plan to do one for every new little workout split that I perform and do on my own. If you guys have any questions on anything, please feel free to comment. I will pin a comment down below with everything in order so that you guys can reference it. But again, don't feel the need to just copy paste, take inspo, and make changes as needed. Okay, girl. I think it's time to take her on a walk and close out the video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Love y'all, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye. Say bye.